Hi everybody, welcome back to Visit FYLDE Coast. I thought we'd do a couple of videos that highlight what we find on the beach. So I'm going to do two different ones. I'm going to do one of natural stuff and sort of like a beach combing thing, and then I'm going to do another one of litter and plastics and things that shouldn't actually be here. So this is going to be the first one about real life things. So I've just seen two things on this beach that I want to show you. One is a crab. Are you ready? Slightly dead. So you see loads of little dead crabs like that. In fact, it feels as if it's empty. And that one's either being a meal or is going to be a meal. This is a razor shell, and that's obviously empty as well. And I think I'm right in saying that they live in the beach that way up, and the filter feeders, they have the little sluggy fishy thing, sticks its head out of there and it wafts its tentacles about and it sieves its food out of the seawater. What's that? Oh, that's a shrimp cast. Wow, that's a big one. Now you see people, oh look at that. You see people with shrimping nets that are actually fishing for shrimps, and they're like a big triangular shaped net, and they sort of jiggle it into the top of the soft sand, and presumably they catch shrimps. I've never actually asked, but let's put it this way: they spend long enough doing it, and I don't think they'd do it for nothing. And in this pool here, you can actually see some little tiny. Oh, there's one here. Look, can you see there? You see it moving? Some little tiny baby shrimps that are moving about, but they're so tiny and so quick. Let me just see if I can mudge it along. There's one there. There, can you see it? It's just moving. Might need to be eagle-eyed to catch that one. I don't know whether they're fish or shrimps, but they're little. And there's loads of different things that you can find just by walking up and down. So interesting. That's another razor shell. There's always loads of them. And this very thin layer of mud, can you see there's like a really thin skim of mud in the bottom of the ridges on the beach, and there that mud is absolutely full of nutrients and food for all the tiny little creatures that live in the water that the birds feed on. The groyne is full of seaweed, and I'm not quite sure what that one is. Is it bladderwrack? And it just sits there and waits, and then the tide comes back in and it gets wet again. And they're barnacles. And these rocks are limestone. When you say limestone, you kind of think rockery stone. And it's only quite recently that I discovered that limestone comes in various different hardnesses, and this is exceptionally hard limestone. Oh look, there's a hole in that one. That is strong enough to withstand the constant battering of the sea. And this is, I believe, sea lettuce. I'm fairly sure that's sea lettuce. And I think that grows when there's a high concentration of nitrates, which would make sense because we've had some vile weather recently. And so much rain. It's rained and rained and rained and rained. And there must have been sewage outflows. Well, there you go, look. That fits on the next video about rubbish. That's the back off a sanitary towel. But the alternative to a sewage outflow is having it coming up inside your house in the drains. So it doesn't look like there's much else on this little bit. We shall carry on scouting and see what we find next. This is all seaweed that's washed up along what's called a strand line. So this is where the tide's got to, and then it's retreated and it's pushed everything it's been carrying to that point. So this strand line is made up of seaweed and bits of twig and all kinds of organic matter, but the problem is that it carries with it rubbish, number one. More interestingly, it also carries quite a lot of life with it as well. So there's all kinds of different bits of seaweed and some occasional shells. So that's a cockle shell, and there are cockle beds offshore, and you might not be able to see them, but there's quite a few flies, which to us are somewhat minging, but to the little birds that live on the beach, they're dinner. You see here, look, there's a piece of plastic. I've not got any equipment with me to pick rubbish up, so reluctantly I'm going to have to walk past it. I haven't got a bag or anything. You see here, there's all different types of seaweed all tangled up together, and a little bit of string, fishing line I think it is. And washed up among the seaweed, this is a mermaid's purse. Because obviously we have mermaids at Cleveland. Did you not know that? Joking apart, this is a egg case of a ray or a shark. There are loads of different ones, different colours and different sizes. This is a big one. So the fish, the adult fish, lays this in the sea, in the bed of the ocean, and it twines round seaweed and things with these little tentacles, and the little baby fish is inside it while it grows and develops, and then it hatches, and you can see that this egg case is empty, and the egg case then washes up. So that's what they are. There are smaller ones that are brown, bigger ones that are black, and they all contain at some point little baby fish. These are some quite interesting signs that have gone up as well at Russell Beach about alien species. You probably all know about Japanese knotweed, which is a really invasive weed that you get in, well, on the ground, in land, in gardens and places it shouldn't be. And they're the equivalent in a marine environment. You've probably guessed that I've done this video in bits because the weather's changed on different ones, and this is an artistic one, this, because I'm stood at the side of the groyne, so I'm on eye level with the pebbles and I don't have to bend down. So we've talked about these before in the very early days when we started doing these videos. These stones that you must have seen on the beach when you've been out walking, and they've got loads of little holes in them, and there's all kinds of different ones. As we stood here, you can see them all. There's one there, there's one there, they're all over the place. Did you know that these holes are made, that's a nice one, that one there, these holes are made by a little invertebrate called a boring piddock. Now I know it's very childish giggling at boring piddocks, but you know, you've got to have a bit of childishness, haven't you? And they're little invertebrates that latch onto the stone and they erode the stone to use in their body, in their own shell. So there you go, that's that one. Look away now if you're of a nervous disposition, but this is the dead bird. Oh, there's another one there as well, look, the poor thing. And we get quite a lot of dead birds that wash up on this beach, after storms and bad weather. I can't quite tell what kind of dead bird it is. I'm wondering if it's a puffin actually, looking at its beak. Or a guillemot, I'm not sure. That's another one. Poor things. Looking at the beak, I'm thinking that might be a puffin, you know. I'm not. I struggle with seabirds. They all look very similar to me. I can spot a garden bird at 90 paces, but seabirds is more challenging. It's been quite blowy over the last few days. If you saw the video that I did yesterday in Cleveland's town centre, that was quite noisy. There were some comments from viewers about the noise of the wind, but the wind has brought up quite a lot of seaweed onto the beach. So we'd looked at the strand line on the beach the other day when we were down here, but you can see that at the moment there are several strand lines. There's this one that we're walking along, and then up there near the cafe you can see it a bit more clearly. There's another one there, and then there's another one there, and that's where the incoming tide pushes the debris that it's carrying up against the shingles, and obviously the shingle traps it and holds onto it. And then as it retreats, it leaves what it's brought with it behind, and the strand line is where you'll find all the interesting stuff. But unfortunately, this strand line is not especially well endowed with interesting stuff. It's seaweed and more seaweed by the look of it. So while I'm just looking for interesting things to show you, I'm going to pop a link in the description below to a beach and strand line book, while we're talking about strand lines, that I use, and it's an excellent book if you like the beach and you like to look and see what there is and you like to know about these things. That is well worth buying. So I'll pop you our Amazon affiliate link in the description below, and then if you decide that you want to buy one and you'll click on our link, that will help us with a few coppers in the box. So you can see here we're getting up to the thicker bits of strand line where it's swirled around this groyne as it's created turbulence and slowed the water down. There's not much come up, is there? That's a nice log. It's not really wildlife as such, but a nice log nonetheless. So I think we might have come to the end of this video for instalment 1. So all that's left to say to you is make sure that you've signed up for your weekly email newsletter if you've not already done it. Visit FYLDE Coast is packed full of all kinds of interesting things, from Cleveland to Fleetwood to Blackpool to Poulton, Lytham and St Anne's. So if you sign up for your newsletter, you'll get all kinds of interesting things. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel as well, and if you hit the bell for notifications, you'll find out when all our new videos are uploaded. So from a animal-less strand line at Cleveland's, I shall bid you a good day. You have a lovely day now. Bye.